Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I
All
can
right. Well, you know how technology is, so
Yeah, and Facebook kind of been tripping lately anyway.
I'm not surprised. So, like I said, we kind of got lost with the first. Go ahead, tell us where you're from, what name you write under, and why'd you pick it. You have a pen name.
Okay. I am originally from Flint, Michigan, like I was saying, but I currently now reside in Detroit. Long story on how I got here, but I'm here in Detroit. And I currently write under BlackByrd. It is a pen name. My nickname is Bird, but my husband actually gave me the name Blackbird when I
Okay,
first started writing.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, when did you actually begin writing?
I started writing when I was 7 in the second grade. I remember winning this little contest. It was I wrote a book about a blue shoe, and it rhymed, and I can't really remember nothing else, but I ended up winning this contest, and I started writing all the way back then. And then one of my family members had a computer, and I would just type up really quick stories and print them off on whatever paper I found around the house, old flyers turned around, anything. And I used to print them out, and I've been writing ever since. But I started writing professionally. My first book was published in 2013.
Okay. So, um, why do you think that even happened? Like, is it from your childhood that you decided to go ahead and become a writer, or why did you really just start writing?
Well, I had always wanted to write. It was always a dream. But of course, growing up, you always hear, "Oh, you need a real job. Writing isn't a real job. You need a real career." So when I graduated high school, even though I continued to write, I started going to school to be a nurse. So during my nursing journey, of course, writing got put to the side. And when I graduated from nursing school, I tried to get back into writing, but at the time I was married previously before my now husband. He wasn't supportive of my writing. So I kind of stuck with that and stuck with nursing. And it was like, okay, maybe I'll go get my master's in nursing. Maybe I'll just focus on nursing and just kind of forget about writing. But then after my divorce, I actually wrote my first book about my divorce. And it was encouraged, my now husband encouraged me to write it.
It's always nice to have that support system.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been
So,
writing ever since.
so would you say that's why you or when you really considered yourself to be a writer, or was it before then?
No, I would say I consider myself to be a writer since 7. Like I've always had this huge imagination. I've always had these stories that I used to allow my friends in high school to read. I used to write them all up and pass them around, and everyone used to read them and say, "Oh, you should get them published." And I remember I still have this sticky note from a substitute teacher. I want to say I was probably in the 10th or the 11th grade. We had a sub in math class, and my friends were passing around my story, and the teacher took it. And I'm like, oh man, I'll be in trouble. She stayed at her desk reading it while we were doing our work. And when we got done, she wrote me the sticky note. And it said something like, keep writing or keep pursuing your writing career or something. I still have it. But yeah, I still got the sticky note.
I mean, that can serve as a reminder, though, for those moments where you're like, man, I don't even know. But, back then, somebody saw that in you.
Yeah.
That could be that
Yeah, I
motivating
just
voice.
knew she was going to throw it in the trash. I'm like, it's in the trash. She finna throw my whole story away.
Right. Now, are you an independent author or with an agency?
I am currently independent. I haven't published with anybody else during my whole career. It's always been self-publishing, and that's my preference. I like to get all my money, and and I like to be able to have control of my books, my titles. I don't want anyone changing anything besides some editing. When it's a story that I have that I really enjoy, I want my story to stay the same. When you go with traditional publishers, they can change it around. They can change your title. They can change your characters. They can do whatever they choose to do. And I don't want anybody to have that much control over something that I work so hard on.
Oh, absolutely. I've heard kind of mixed, beliefs on that, but of the independents that I have spoken to, they prefer to have that free.
Yeah,
and I have a soft spot for all independents out there.
And with traditional publishing, like it could be, you could write a book today, and your book could not be published for a year and a half. When you're doing it yourself, you can put your book out tomorrow. So that matters too for me.
Okay. So since we're talking about books, what book are you currently promoting right now?
I am currently promoting Sugar Babies Part 1 because I am in the process of finishing up Sugar Babies Part 2.
Now, please tell me, what is Sugar Babies about?
So the Sugar Baby is actually called Side Chicks and Sugar Babies, or Sugar Babies and Side Chicks. One of them. But this is right here, actually, Side Chicks and Sugar Babies.
Okay.
This book is actually about a group of women who they never even met each other. They never known each other, but they came together because they got invited to be on the show, kind of like the Love and Hip Hop type vibe, and they became friends on this show. And it's just their lives of being sugar babies. They were sugar babies before the show, but now that they are actually on this show, it's showing their life as a sugar baby. So their goal is to try and show people, like, even though I'm a sugar baby, I'm still a person. Like I still have a life. I'm not who y'all think I am. I'm so much more than what y'all see. Because, a lot of times on Instagram, we see models, and when they talk, it's so weird because you never expect for them to talk. So when you see one say something, you're like, oh, that's what her voice sounds like. So they're trying to show people, like, even though I'm a sugar baby, I'm still a human, and I still have I do have some morals. It's one girl in there. She don't care. Aja, she'll sleep with anybody. But Lori is like, I'm not sleeping with no married man. I'll just be a sugar baby, but I'm not sleeping with a married man. And then they all have their beliefs and their morals, and they just want to show people, like, even though you may think that sugar babies are like this, we can be like this too.
Okay, so that kind of leads to my next question. Like, what made you pick that title for the book, and where you kind of come up with the concept for it? It may seem obvious, but I want to hear from you. Like, what's the reason?
Well, I used to be a sugar baby. No, I'm joking. The idea actually came from one of my books called The Messy Baby Mamas Club. There is two characters, Tasha and Brittany, and they are basically some little gold diggers, things like that. And everybody kind of liked the way that they were kind of money hungry. So then I said, okay, well, I can turn that into something. And then in today's day and age, a lot of people don't read anymore. Reading is just not the it thing right now. Everybody is watching. I mean, for us, yeah. But for a lot of people, it's like, I don't want to read. I just want to watch TV. So, with the shows, Love and Hip Hop, The Basketball Wives, it's another show about marrying money or doctors or something like that. So with so many reality TV shows out right now, that those are the shows that are very popular. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe I can give a book a reality type of feel, reality show, and it'd be kind of like reading what you're watching.
Okay.
So I said,
I like it.
So that was
like of the characters that are in it, because I know you said you used to be a sugar baby, but like, is it from your own personal experiences or people that you know, or
you know what?
What's going on?
It's actually just people that I just see, or that I guess, or what I expect sugar babies, I guess, to be like, and what I would be like if I was a sugar baby. So I kind of play off, like, if I was a sugar baby, I would do this. So kind of just like what I would think they are, and what I've seen on TV, and what I've seen other ones that, are on TV and shows act like. So it's kind of just like a combination of everybody.
Okay. Well, I'll say this because I've read Sugar Baby. It's a wide range of activity in there, but so.
Part 2 is crazy.
I don't know. If some of this is what Bird would do, okay, girl, you nasty.
I would probably probably be like fancy if I was a sugar baby. I'd be like fancy.
All right.
But I got a friend that I know will be like Aja, and I got a friend I know will be like Lori. So I kind of just took all of them and just kind of like what, and I went on the internet and I kind of looked at different women to decide like for instance Lori. Lori reminds me, like, as far as like her features and stuff, of Juju.
Okay.
The one, I think she used to date Cameron, I want to say, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So she reminds me of her. So they all got like this look that I kind of think in my head, and this attitude. And so it's just like, these will be the women that I would like to watch on TV, you know?
So you write what you would like to see. I get it. Okay. So in your writing process, what was like the hardest part in that?
In this book, or just writing?
In that book.
I would have to say making sure that I keep everybody so different, because even though there's four girls, and even though they all are sugar babies, they all are sugar babies for different reasons, and they all are sugar babies. Their morals are so different. So sometimes it was kind of hard when like I would try to have like I want to say Lori to me is like the most laid back, chill. I'm a sugar baby, but I'm still this. And you got Fancy, who more of a business type of sugar baby. You got Ozzy, who just don't care and just a free spirit sugar baby. And you got Christy, whose main goal is just I want to be a wife, to a rich man. So it was having to, all of them have so many different personalities. And even though the sugar babies, having to make sure that each sugar baby lives up to their morals. That was, a little hard, because you kind of just want them to go wild, but then you're like, wait a minute, she can't do that because this is how she is,
Right. Okay, so what would you say was the easiest part of writing this particular book?
Creating them, like actually getting the names and how crazy they are, and that was probably.
I figured that would be fun too, though. Especially as you develop each character.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Sometimes you can think they're going to go a certain way, but as you see, you're like, no, I'm not even going to do it that way.
Yes, because as I'm writing part 2, I actually was writing the scene this morning that is probably going. It shocked me because I didn't know I was going to write it.
Right.
I try and outline as much as I can, but most of my outline is just trying to remember certain things. I just kind of go with the flow. And when I wrote this particular scene, I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm reading it over and I'm like, oh, people are going to be like, what the
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you need, to keep people's attention. You don't want them to be like, oh, I expected that was going to happen. You always got to put something there. You be like, girl,
yeah.
Right. Now, while writing this book, did you learn anything?
I always try, even though I live in Michigan and I'm in Detroit, I always try and write outside of Michigan. I know a lot of people like to write in the city because that's what they, that's what they know. I think I wrote the Messy Baby Daddies in Detroit, but almost every other book I have out is not written in Michigan. Tennessee, in Florida, in California, in Atlanta, and this one is in Chicago. And I've been in Chicago tons and tons and tons of times, but there's so much to do in Chicago that, of course, when you go, you never get to do everything. So while writing this book, I'm learning so much more about Chicago, about their food, what type of foods they're really popular for, some of the attractions, like the restaurants that they have, like at the top floor of buildings. And even though I knew a few of these things, it's a lot of things that I didn't know, like their jazz, how many jazz bars they have. Like, they are really big with like the blues and jazz. So just seeing, like, when I'm Googling, like, okay, she want to go to a jazz bar, and I'm researching, I'm like, which one? There's tons of them,
Right.
Chicago has a lot going on in that city. And so when I'm researching, I'm learning all these things and I'm writing them down. Like, I got to visit here, I got to visit there, and I'm looking through the pictures to make it as realistic as possible. Right. So I'm learning so much about, their cities and everything. Just like with feeding my appetite, with the college. I've never been on that campus before.
Okay.
Never been in Tennessee before. But I tried to read it.
Well, you definitely were detailed in that. In that. You did the research.
But and then the part of Florida she moved to, I mean, I've been to Miami, but like the outsides of the city, I've never been to half of the places that I mean, I've been to like a few places I write about, but I try to write about places I've never been.
Now, does that make you want to go to that place?
I have this huge bucket list, and I plan on visiting like every single state in America, and I'm checking them all. So as I'm researching, I think that's the thing I like the most when I'm researching all these places that I haven't been. I'm adding these places to my list. Like, okay, when I go,
right, your list keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go here. So and it's fun because it's like I get to live a lot through my characters. So I get to go on these dates and go on these places. It sounds weird, but I get to live a lot.
Honestly, not really, because especially when you consider the year of 2020. I know you wrote this book prior to, but when you look at what has happened in 2020 alone, it makes you live more with the purpose. And like, you know what? This is a bucket list, and I'm going to start checking stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's dope because it gives you something to live for, to do, expand that. That's pretty good. Now, you're welcome. In writing this book, is there a particular message? I always write my reviews saying what spoke to my soul. Is there a particular message that you want your readers to get to touch their soul?
Yeah, when I first started writing it, there was absolutely no message whatsoever. Like, it was just kind of like I'm just writing it. But as I'm learning these characters and like seeing what they're going through, I've learned so much from them too. So, like with Lori, for me it's like just kind of going after whatever you want and not letting anything stop you. Don't let nobody get in your way, don't let nothing stop you. But then with Fancy, it's like learning how to balance relationships and work. Like you can't always get so caught up in what you got going on. You have to have some balance, because if you don't have it, your work will take over your life. And you miss out on so much because you were so busy trying to do this. And then with Aja, it's not letting your past dictate your future. Just because you were this way and this way and this way doesn't mean that you have to continue to go this way. And then with Christy, is stop trying to live everybody else's dream.
So everybody else's dream.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at some point they had a dream too.
Yeah.
And some people live it, and some people choose to ignore it, or some people put it on the back burner until something else happens. But like I said, with 2020 alone, if that hasn't taught me anything, is to stop living for others' purpose, but to live for your own purpose. And when you do that, your life is so much more peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's what life really should be about. I'm a talker. I love reading.
Yeah.
And just sitting here doing that and being able to connect with an author, that's important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did it.
Because that's how we even met. I know I'm going to go on a tangent. So, for those who don't follow the book club, Byrd's been on the reading list 3 different times, I would say. But I met her because my husband was like, Tracy meet Byrd.
Yeah.
She just wrote a book. And record label romance was, I popped my cherry with Byrd with record label romance. And I'm like, oh my God, where's book 2? So, I like being able to connect and have that energy, especially for the independent. I call you guys featuring unknown because you're not going to get that same promotion and support from that the major publishing companies get, and you're doing it all on your own hustle.
Yeah.
So I like to be able to say, you know what? I want to read this book, and I'm going to tell other people why they should read the book too, without telling them what the book is.
Yeah.
But
that's the
if you like the music industry, you definitely need to check out Record Label. And that's a whole written book.
Yeah, I love that book. I always say, like, if I had to turn any of my books into movies, it would be Regular Romance first, and then it would be Feeding My Appetite second.
I see both of those. I mean, I don't know if Feeding My Appetite would be R or S rated, but it would be something.
It'd be like 50 Shades of Grey.
but yeah, now you finished it, you completed it, and you're like, okay, this is it. But after releasing it, sometimes, you know, you might get reviews or whatever else. Is there anything that you would want to change in it now?
And Sugar Babies,
Yeah.
I will probably make it longer because now that I wrote part two is going to be big. You know, it's gonna be nice and meaty. Otherwise, I would have to break it down to a part three, and I don't want to do that. But I will probably make it a little bit longer. I would add some of part two to part one, and that's probably it. That's probably it because you know, it's crazy because in the book I had Aja's brother die, and for those who didn't know, it's a spoiler. And I remember like I stopped it because I said, now my brother had just died. So I said, how am I gonna write this funeral scene? And I literally was just like, okay, I can't. I'm done. Part one is out. And I was like, and so I had to so I think I probably would have added a little bit more if I wasn't so emotionally you know, tied to it. But that's probably all I would do. I probably would just add a little bit more. I probably would add more of those things from book two to book one. But it was just, I just had to stop right there. Like, okay, I can't do it anymore.
I mean, I hear you, but honestly, where you did stop it, I think it was enough. Because it's like, all right, I want to know what's about to happen next. Where are we going from here? Because so many different relationships were beginning to form and or deteriorate. So it's like, okay, what's next? Like, let's see. I want to know what's happening. Like, where is it at? I mean, I need you to hurry up when you put it out.
Part two is like bonkers. Like I was like, oh my god, this happened. Oh my god, you know, when I'm reading through it, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then as I'm adding stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I mean, it is crazy. It's very, very, very crazy. I thought part one has nothing on part two.
But you know, I really didn't find part one too crazy.
Yeah. It was kind of,
you know, it was a nice level of craziness in it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like,
oh, part two is like like part one is like right here, part two is like right here.
Okay. I'm waiting on it.
It was a surprise.
But that's cool. You know, you got to be able to take it to the next level. That's the whole point of it. You got to go to that next level. Now, we talked about a few different books during this time period. Now, how many books have you actually written?
19.
19, yeah. I can't even call you like an emerging author anymore. Like, you are author.
Yeah, 19.
That's what's up. Congratulations on that. So we're working on book number 20?
Yep. This will be book number 20.
Okay. Yeah. Now, out of all those books that you've written, what would you say your favorite is?
Regular romance.
Okay. You know,
actually, I had started writing regular romance my first year of college.
Okay.
And I had like the idea, I had like the characters, I had like the plot basically, and I even wrote like the first 7 or 8 pages, and then closed it up, and that was that. And when me and King Benjamin, you know, we've been friends for a while now, we talked about writing together, and I said, you know what, I got this book that I think you could put a perfect twist on. And then we got together, and this whole, I mean, the name has always been Regular Romance, but this whole new world emerged. Like, you know, this book that I never thought it would be as, I mean, I know it would be good, but he really helped me take it like to the max, you know. And we had so much fun writing it. You know, we got together on the second collab that we did, A Boss and the Thug. So, but
I haven't read that one yet. I keep telling y'all, I cannot keep up. Like, y'all just putting out stuff every other month, and I'm like, bro, like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's there. I'm gonna get to it. I promise.
A Boss and the Thug was actually his book idea, and he originally was writing it with someone else, and you know me, you know. And and I guess that she had something going on or something. And he said, well, would you want to write it with me? And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead. So we went ahead and we wrote our second collab together. So.
Well, I definitely like the first collab work. You know, I want to say if that was in the initiation of the book club, that probably was my top read for the first year.
Thank you.
That we had. Like I love romance, and I was like, when I kept on, I was on y'all. Like, where's I mean, I knew it was out on, you know, in ebook, but I'm like, no, I want the book.
Yes, you was. I was like, let me get this paperback together before she started cussing us out.
Right. That's what's up. But I like the collab work that you guys do, and it kind of puts me into like understanding and having the writing community. Like, what's your experience with the writing community in general?
You know, it's crazy because a lot of people don't know how much drama is in the writing community, you know, and even me, I don't even know how much drama is in the writing community because I'm such an introvert, you know, and I have my little circle, and when I have a little circle, I don't like to, you know, branch out really, and so thank God I've been protected because of that. But just seeing, you know, the publishers what they've done to authors, and what authors have done to publishers, and what authors have done to other authors, and publishers to publishers. It is crazy out there.
It's like a dog-eat-dog world, right? And you wouldn't even think it.
You always hear stories like the strip clubs, like Players Club, how it's always, it got its own like Players Club. Like, it is crazy. So I've just kind of been in my same little circle. And I am very particular about my little circle, and I don't really try and I mean, it's not that I don't want to meet new authors. It's just that I don't like drama, so I just try and keep to myself pretty much. And
protect your peace.
Yeah, and sometimes that it has hurt me a little bit in the past because, like, when I go to book events, now there isn't any, but like, for instance, an example, I went to Atlanta for the Atlanta Kickback. This was probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and people were walking up to me, and even though I have this name tag on and said author BlackByrd, they're like, "Where's the author to this book?" And I'm like,
right here.
If her name on here, you know, and I'm like, and so I keep saying next time I go to the event, I'm gonna get a shirt that says I am the author. But I get that a lot, and it's because I'm not well known on the internet, you know, with a lot of the other authors in the industry. So when people see me, they don't know that that's me. And so they're like, oh, that's you. You're that author, you know. So that has hurt me like that in the past. But I just think that having my piece is just so much more important than anything, any amount of money, any amount of fame and attention. So I have been trying to branch out more and connect with my readers a little bit more than being so shy like I normally am. I'm very shy. People don't believe it, but but I try to, you know, get to know them a little bit better. But it's just, you know, sometimes people expect so much from you, and it gets drained, you know. So I try to stay out of it.
Again, you have to find that balance. I know I can speak from my own personal experience that you have at least tried to connect with me and my readers within the book club.
Energy.
I know, right? That's what life is about. All about those vibes. I believe in vibration. I love your vibration.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And it's more than just BlackByrd, the author, right? You know, Bird, the person, is an amazing person who is really trying to reach out on multiple levels. You're not just an author, and I think that shows in your daily interaction. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that you should remain true to forever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I know you're releasing. You have the sugar babies that you're cartoon. But are there any other books that we should be looking forward to?
Actually, working on my children's book. I have an entire children collection, and and I'm actually, Mina is helping me.
Of course.
So I'm actually working on that. I'm actually in the it's already written, it's already edited. I'm actually getting the illustration done.
Awesome. So, like, you have to let me know when that's happening. You know, I'm looking to bulk up the children end of it and feature, children's authors. So you definitely have to keep me posted. Like, I'm waiting. Now I'm gonna be bugging y'all. I'm still waiting. Is it coming? So I'm excited about that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Taking that to the next step, because I know many people know, if they're in your circle, they definitely know you are a homeschooling mom, correct?
Yes. I've been getting a little bit of praise lately. At first I was crazy.
Well, I mean, we're in a virtual school now. So
yeah, now everybody's friend. I'm not as crazy as I was before to everybody now. Now it's like, okay, I get it.
Right. That's what's up. But, congrats on that. You already know I follow you on a lot of different things. I'm gonna be tapping you on the show. Okay, my baby's is ready.
That's fine. I love that.
Now, do you have any advice for any other writers? Because I'm working on getting a couple books out. So my hubby has a book that's writing. I don't know what he's doing, but
me either.
I know, right? Get on it. But what advice do you have for me or any other writers?
One, I would definitely say, when you are picking your editor, do your research with them. When you get that book back from your editor, it's such a headache to have to read people think it's crazy, but reading your book over and over again, it's a headache. But I definitely would say, when you get that book back from the editor, don't just assume that reading a few changes that they made was enough. Go back through it and read it again, because now that you have a fresh new set of eyes after not reading it for a while, you will find some things that even the editor may have missed. So I definitely say, go through your book again when you get it back. Try and, it's going to sound kind of crazy, but I'm going to just be honest. Try not to make so many friends with authors. Keep it business. Don't try and make it personal. Because when you got 50, 60 friends that are all authors, and you're an author too, and they're expected for you to share their stuff just like you're expecting for them to share yours, it kind of gets complicated, and then you start, they're not supporting me, but it's not that, it's just they may be busy or vice versa. And you just don't want to put yourself, if you want to make friends with authors and share because you want to do that, but don't try and be too buddy. Get you a circle of friends, and you already got one, so don't worry about that. Get you a circle of friends and just that are also authors, and just try and stick with that same circle and learn from that circle instead of trying to learn from everybody, because this game gets so messy, and the last thing you want is for your name to be here for something you didn't have nothing to do with. Exactly. I've seen it over and over and over and over again, and with other friends. So it's just like, you just got to kind of be careful who you allow in your circle, as an author. It's just like the rap game. You can't have every rapper in your circle. So that's definitely another piece of advice. And I will say, the last piece of advice I would give, when you get your first book out, don't stop. Do not stop. If you have an idea for another book, get on it right away. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my writing career is when I first released the Sugar Babies Part 1. It was kind of, I was homeschooling, going to school myself online. My first brother had just died, and I was still working. So I was doing all this, but I put the books out like back to back to back. They flew off the shelf. I mean, people were buying them. I was super shocked. King Benjamin was like, wait a minute now. What the hell you got going on? So these books were selling like nothing else. And I had created a name for myself. And then what did I do that next year? Nothing. I didn't write anything. I think I wrote again maybe like a year after that. But I had that momentum, and I should have kept it going. I should have focused and set my butt down and said, okay, go ahead and write your next book instead of playing around and just like, oh, the money coming in. I should have, and that would have helped me establish a name better than the name that I have.
And you know, it's funny. I feel the same way about the book club because when I was putting on the Featuring the Unknown events, I'm like, okay, it's getting there, it's getting there, it's getting there. And then of course the pandemic happens and now I can't do my in-person events. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be the same.
Exactly.
So it's like I've been scared. We've talked about this. I've been scared to jump into the virtual world because it's like, okay, are they going to be? Are they coming? Like, how do I make sure that it's going to be successful? But the point is just to put it out there.
Yeah.
And in time, it may not happen right then when you're doing it, but in time, it keeps pushing back up. Because unfortunately, this is the new normal.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to figure out how to fit into the new normal.
Exactly.
But I definitely understand keeping the momentum.
Yeah.
You know, don't let that go.
Yep.
That's definitely.
Yep. So.
Definitely important. Okay. Now, tell me, what is your favorite book of all time?
You know, I would have to say it's probably Black Girl Lost by Donna Goines.
Okay.
I love that. I remember reading that book and I was just so intrigued with the way that he made this main character. You know, usually when you read a book about a guy and a girl, the guy is fine, you know, all the girls want him. This guy was butt ugly in this book. He was like ugly, but he had a good looking woman. And, you know, like that was so different because you don't normally get that. And so I'm like, I really like this little spin on this book, you know. And I'll probably say that's probably my favorite book. And I would say that my next favorite book will probably be Perfect Peace.
Now, you recently read that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, wait a minute, you talked about this. Yeah. And once you shared it to the group, I'm like, I gotta look it up. It's on my list. I gotta get it on too.
That's probably, I read a lot of books, and that's probably one of that's like my top. You know, it used to be The Hate You Give. I love the original one, not the movie one. The original one is when I seen the movie, I'm like, this is good, but this is it.
Yeah.
But Perfect Peace, it just, I laughed. See, for me, when I read a good book, I want to be able to feel every emotion. And in this book, I laughed, I cried, I was mad, I was sad, I was every emotion, frustrated, you know, surprised, confused. I was probably every emotion that you could probably think of during this book, and I couldn't just stop reading it. I just had to get it done, you know. And it was just wild. I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Okay, so you gave me your favorite, and out of that, I know you told me the reasons why it's your favorite, but what spoke to your soul?
I would say loving your child for who they are. You know, sometimes I think that we, as parents, we see other people, kids doing this and doing that and doing this, and we like, not that our kid, you know, we all love our kids, but you kind of feel like, is my kid doing enough? Is my kid enough? Is my kid, you know, is it perfect? You know, like, oh, maybe I should add this, or maybe I should make them do this. You know, you may see a kid who playing the piano at 3, and you're like, well, my 3-year-old ain't playing the piano.
Right.
So I think we sometimes judge our kids so much, and we don't just love them for who they are, you know, instead of trying to make them be who we want them to be.
Absolutely. It's funny because, you know, I'm still a relatively new mom, and I remember with KJ, and I'm like, okay, when do I need to take this pacifier away? I think it's like, I see other kids out here and they don't have it. Yeah. Or when should I put him on the sippy cup? Or he should be potty trained. Like, he gonna be out of diapers by 1. Yeah. And then you start comparing.
Yep.
But you forget about all the other accomplishments that they've done. Yep. And where they're at on both ends. So they may not be there on this. Yeah. But what about what they are? So if we focus more on what they are versus not what they are not. Yeah. You know,
yeah, and it's just society, you know what I mean? You not only do you have, you know, your friends' kids, but you have your parents who, like, for instance, I was potty trained at 1. You know, my daughter wasn't potty trained until she was 2.5. So my mom would say, like, she not potty trained, she not potty trained. And in my head, I'm like, he was potty trained when he was one. I was potty trained when I was one. She should be potty trained when she was one, And I had to learn real fast that, look, she gonna do what she do.
And then you have to remember that the life today is different than the life when you were a kid.
Exactly.
So what we were doing is just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna get it.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of times a lot of us were raised off of survival, so even at one, I always tell people, and I'm not shy to say it, my parents were drug dealers. And so growing up in that type of environment, I was independent from as long as I could remember having to, do things on my own. And I think even at one, I understood that, and potty trained quickly. And with my daughter, she's raised completely different. We're just showering her with love and affection. So for her, it's like, I get potty trained when I feel like it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Not gonna be beat if I don't get on the pot,
Right. Excellent. Now, what are you currently reading?
I just finished 50 Cent's book.
Okay.
Actually surprising. It was surprising. I've read all his books so far. So it was kind of like he took little bits and pieces from other books and put them into one. But I like that book a lot. But I'm actually getting ready to start. I think I read a lot of self-help and educational books. So I'm reading one called Contagious, which talks about how things become contagious in the world, not as in the sick contagious, but more so like how things become trendy and things like that. I'm actually getting ready to start Rick Ross' book, Hurricane.
Okay. So now Charlie's been trying to get that book for the longest.
Really?
Yes, I know that's definitely on his list to get read. But because Ross's story is unique. You know what I'm saying? People, I remember in the media when it was a thing. They were like, he not living the lifestyle that he put out there. He was a CEO. But he was a CEO, but he was doing everything wrong as a CEO. So it's like to actually hear from his mouth, it's like, man.
Yeah.
And then to see the growth of the person.
Yeah.
There's so many backstories of how they became the successes that they are. Yeah. It's important to share. So that the people that feel like there is no hope, there really is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like when you read 50 Cent book, it's so many things about him that you just like, what? I didn't know that.
Like, it's like was the movie enough, or you like, it's only scratching the surface?
It only scratched the surface. Like, he's so much more than I even thought. Like, of course, I like 50 Cent. He crazy, but when you think about him, you don't think about this charitable person. You don't think about this understanding person. And hearing him tell these stories, you understand him a lot more.
Right.
He's still petty in the book, though. But
I mean, that's part of him. That's who he is. That's one of the characteristics of him. That's who makes him that he's in. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't petty in the book, I would have to say it.
Exactly.
He can really write it. Yeah. Now, my last question, technically, is: do you have anything specific that you want to say to your current or future readers?
Yes. Give me a chance. Well, to my future readers is give me a chance, and to my current readers that are waiting is hold your seat when you get the next book.
Okay. And all right, I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna come back and be like, y'all remember when she was home? She was true to her word. Right. I'm looking forward to it. And honestly, because you write so differently in different books. And for me to go from record label romance to Feeding My Appetite, I was like, oh, okay. So she has some variety I definitely see it.
I actually just trademarked. I'm waiting for my paperwork. The Jill of all genres. Because I plan on literally writing every genre. Like, I can write fantasy, I can write detective type stories. I can write children's stories. I can write, I won't say white romance, but I can write romance. I can write hood. I can write this. So it's like endless amount of things that I can literally. I don't think there isn't anything. I can write sci-fi, so I don't think there's anything that I can't write.
Okay, so that kind of made me backtrack a little bit. What separates you from, other authors in your genre?
I am the Jill of all. I just there isn't a I try to keep my books, like I read a lot of books, and sometimes I hate things. I personally hate things that are unrealistic. I don't like to read stories that when something like a person dying and they come back to life, if it's considered like urban fiction or something. So I feel like everything has a category, and I'm just not into that type of writing. So I try to write what I would want to read, and I try to make it so people can live inside this world when they're reading it. Like I don't want you to read it and be like, oh my God, it's good, but this stuff is so unbelievable. I want you to feel like you are in the story. So that's what I think how I separate myself from a lot of other authors. And because, like I said, I try not to write in my city. I try to write everywhere. I do a ton of research on different cities and states and countries that I've never been to. And I mean, when I say I'm to the point where I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm walking through stores and malls, and like I do a lot of research when it comes to the way that I write out of my city. So I try and be different in that way.
And it's funny because that's a thing for me when I read. I read one book, and it had the premise of two different sisters being separated and eventually coming back together. But for something simple like OKC and their cheerleaders, based on your timeline, OKC didn't exist yet. The OKC Thunder. So it's like, come on now, the editor's gonna cut that at least.
Yeah.
So it's a thing for me, like something that's small.
Yeah,
It's
even
like, okay,
music. I mean, even music. When I was writing a scene that I just wrote this morning, and when I was writing, they were in a club, and I went right to the internet, like, okay, what songs were out in 2013? Because I can't put WAP in a song from 2013.
right.
So I try to definitely do my research.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you for doing that. I thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank
and I will forever be a Bird fan.
Oh, thank you.
Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it. You're killing the game.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, last. How can we stay up to date with BlackByrd?
I'm on almost everything except for Snapchat and Twitter. I don't know about that, but you can find me on Instagram at BlackByrd Inc. and that's Bird with a Y, so it's BlackByrdInc. You can find me on Facebook. You can type in Arthur BlackByrd there as well, or you can just type in Lakila, but nobody knows how to spell that. So. But I do have a fan page on there as well, and on Amazon. If you don't have social media, or you just kind of stay off of it, if you're always looking to be kept up to date on my new releases, if you go to Amazon and you type in Arthur BlackByrd, you can go to my page from there, and you can actually click the button that tells and have you connect with me, and it'll update you when I put out new books.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I certainly hope that you gain a few more readers to interview. I'm gonna have it ready and available for you to share, and this comes on the regular podcast. I do appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you.
And as always, happy reading, and I'll catch you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.